Hey folks, it's John with KeepFishKeeping.com, and let's face it, fish keeping is expensive. Most people in this hobby don't only have one tank. They have multiple tanks with fish breeding, they're growing live plants, or they just like keeping multiple types of fish and can't mix fish together in the same tank. One of the common questions in fish keeping is, how can I use this hobby to bring in a little extra cash and help sustain the hobby for me, and also keep my husband or wife off my back? Well, that's what we're talking about in this video, so sit back, put on your entrepreneur hat, and let's get into it. We all know that fish keeping is a lot of work. Most of us actually enjoy the process of maintaining an aquarium. We almost look at it as a form of therapy, while others want nothing to do with it. Imagine if you really wanted an aquarium, but you've got a condition that keeps you from being able to do the work, or maybe you just got a demanding job or a big family and you just don't have time for it. But then you have someone come up to you and say, hey, I'll take care of the aquarium for you. I'll do all the work necessary to keep the aquarium healthy, and you can just sit back and enjoy it. For a fee, of course. Well, you could be that guy or that girl, the one that takes care of the aquarium for other people so they can enjoy this hobby without having to do any of the work. Now, some things to think about here. There's a lot more people out there that want aquariums than you think. It's not just in people's homes. There's a lot of doctors' offices, lawyers' offices, restaurants, all different kinds of businesses, even big executive buildings and things like that, that would love to have an aquarium in there just to add some flair to the place. It doesn't only have to be in someone's home. So there's a lot of people that would really enjoy having an aquarium, but they don't want to take care of them. You could be the one that comes in there and takes care of them, whether it's at their home or their businesses. How do you do that? How would you start something like that? Well, it's actually pretty simple. You would just start putting word out there by any means necessary, whether it's Facebook or Craigslist or any kind of job sites or anything like that, service sites. I don't know what's out there, but there's all different kinds of ways of putting it out there. Or you could just go old school and walk around, start knocking on doors, maybe not people's homes because nobody likes that, but you could go into businesses, hand the receptionist a little brochure or something like that. Who knows? There's all different kinds of ways that you can get word out there that you're doing this kind of work. And the nice thing about it is, I can speak from experience, when you start getting word out there that you're doing this, word starts to travel. Word of mouth starts to become a thing. People come into the business, they say, wow, that's beautiful. Where did that come from? The people at the business give them your card or your number or whatever. Word travels fast, believe me. I've had word of mouth advertising in several different businesses that I've had in the past. It definitely works. It takes some patience and it takes some legwork, but if you get out there and hit the ground running, you'd be surprised how fast word travels. But of course, no business plan out there is going to be perfect. There are some things that you need to think about before getting into something like this, because with this, you're not doing something on the side. You'd actually be running a business, even if it is just part-time. You're going to have to think about things like insurance, because there's certainly not going to be any homes or businesses that people are going to want you to walk into if you're not insured. You're carrying that aquarium in their house and you fall down the stairs and break your neck. They want you to be insured for that. They don't want to have to pay through their insurance for something like that happening. So anyway, insurance is a no-brainer. Another thing is, you are going to be putting wear and tear on your vehicles. Obviously, it's going to take some time. There's some things like that, business expenses, that I think a lot of people don't think about. They just go into it saying, it's no big deal. I'll just go and work on these people's aquariums. It's not a big deal. But in the end, it is, because all of these things add up. Like I said, insurance, automobile, are you going to actually do it out of your little Honda Civic, or are you going to get a van or something like that to do it? Insurance on that vehicle, fuel for that vehicle, wear and tear, advertising costs, all of those things. This is actually starting a business if you want to take it to that level. And with that comes expenses. And the other thing to think about too, if you live in a densely populated area, when word gets out that you're doing something like this, it could get overwhelming very fast, and you could just completely lose control and end up regretting even doing it. I knew a guy down in Richmond, Virginia. It's been a long time since I've talked to him. I actually don't remember his name, but this guy did exactly what we're talking about. He started going around to people, making people aware that he can take care of their aquariums for them. And before he knew it, it got completely out of control. He had so much business that he ended up hiring people to go out and do the work. And then he started working on other things. He even started buying whole setup aquariums and going around and offering these as part of the deal. What he would do is he would lease the aquarium to them, and part of the lease fees were the maintenance. So they were paying him for the aquarium and paying him monthly to go out there and service it. It actually worked out to be a really nice business plan, and I ended up buying a couple of aquariums from him that he used in those places, and then the year was up and the people decided not to do it anymore or whatever, I don't know. But he would bring them back to his shop and he would offer them up for sale dirt cheap. These were aquariums that were, you know, with advanced filtration systems and nice lighting and stuff. It was actually a really good deal. So anyway, doing something like this can actually make you quite a bit of money. It can get overwhelming. It can also cost a lot of money to do this, but you want to know how to make money in fish keeping, this is a way you can do it, and you can actually make big money. Breeding fish is something that is part of this hobby. It's part of the fun. It's taking the hobby to the next level. Sometimes it happens by accident, like it did to me back in 2010, which is kind of what started this whole KGTropicals thing. But or you might do it on purpose and start breeding these fish, trying to get a particular strain going or something like that. Who knows what it is? But when you do that, you're gonna end up with fry. What do you do with those fry? Well, you sell them to people. There is your way of making a little bit of extra money. It is, again, a lot of work. There's a lot involved in doing this if you want to do it to the scale of being able to actually profit from it. That's something that a lot of people don't think about. They're breeding guppies or whatever it is. They have mutt guppies and they're like, well, maybe if I start selling some of these fish, I can make a few dollars. That's absolutely true, but you have to understand that to make real money, like money where you actually consider it's worth it to keep doing it, you have to have a lot of tanks. You have to have a lot of fish that you're selling, and you need to be able to sell those fish to a lot of different places, not just one guy, obviously. So there are a lot of things to think about. Let's talk about the pros first. I'm kind of getting off track here. Let's talk about the pros of breeding fish for profit, and then we'll talk about the cons. The first pro to breeding fish is it's a lot of fun. It's a job that's fun. How many people can say they actually enjoy what they do for a living? Oh, I can. But anyway, not many people can say they love doing what they do. Breeding fish is a lot of fun. So you're doing something that's making money. You're doing something that you're probably doing anyway. You do it whether there was money involved or not. And it's fun. It's enjoyable. You have a lot of pride in it because you know that if you have your tank done right, if you keep the water right and you do your maintenance and you take care of these fish the way you're supposed to, they're gonna breed. So when they do, you're like, all right, I feel pretty good about this. This is nice. These fish are doing it, which means babies are coming, fry is coming. It's just a beautiful feeling. If you've ever bred fish, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And the other thing is, it's not as difficult to get rid of fish as you might think. When I say get rid of fish, I mean sell them. There's a lot of people out there looking for them. Fish stores, Craigslist. If Craigslist, I don't know. I said that last week. I don't even know if Craigslist is really even a thing anymore, but there's a lot of ways out there to sell the fish. We're gonna talk about that more in the next segment, another way to make money. But yeah, getting rid of fish is not as difficult as you think. So it's a lot of fun. It's not hard to get rid of the fish. It requires work, but this isn't the perfect way of making money, and let's talk about that. The downside to breeding fish for profit is something that there's a lot of hidden things that people don't even really think about. Things like the cost to get your setup going. More than likely, you're not going to be able to run a breeding operation that's going to generate a profit with the 3 or 4 tanks that you have right now, unless you're breeding some kind of rare exotic fish that you can charge $300 per fish or something like that. If that's what you're doing, good luck. But you're probably going to need a lot of different tanks for the different stages of the growing process. You're going to need a tank for the fry. You're going to need a tank for juveniles, adults, the fish at all different sizes. You're not going to have them all mixed up into one 20-gallon tank and expect to make any money on it. So you're going to have the cost of buying your breeder fish, the cost of feeding your fish, the cost of setting everything up so that you can breed all of these fish and actually make a profit. You got to spend money to make money, right? Well, you got to spend quite a bit of money to get something like this going, and it's going to take a while to get level, balance. What am I looking for here? To actually start to make a profit, to where you've sold enough fish to where you've brought in the same amount of money that you paid to get everything started. Break even, that's what I was looking for. It's going to take a while in a fish breeding operation to break even, unless you're setting up an Imperial Tropicals type thing where you've got hundreds of thousands of gallons of water. You understand what I'm saying? You're probably not going to be doing that. But to get real money, you need a big setup, and that's expensive. It's a lot of work to take care of all of those breeders and all of the fry. You got to keep that water absolutely perfect for those fish to grow fast. You want them to grow fast because you want to sell them fast. So you need to do the work. It's a lot of work. It's expensive to set up. You got to feed the fish. That can be pretty expensive. And with them being fry, you got to feed them a lot. You got to do a lot of water. You understand what I'm saying? It's a lot. And the biggest con is that you're not going to make as much money on each fish as you might be thinking you will. I know that sounds pretty grim, but it's true. A lot of people get this shock factor, or they're just stunned when they breed these fish and they raise them for 6-7 months and they've got them to this nice, good size. They ought to be really expensive. And then they take a dozen of them to their fish store and the fish store says, I'll give you $2 a piece for them. You're holding this fish bag that you worked 6 months to get these fish where they are, and you're only gonna make $24? A lot of people start to question whether that's worth it. So yeah, you've got to sell in big numbers to actually have this work out. But again, you can make some money. You might not, get rich, but you can make some money doing this, and it could be something that could sustain the hobby for you. That's really what this video is about. I'm not trying to tell you some kind of get rich quick scheme. That's not what this is about. This is about making a little extra money to justify the hobby and to sustain the hobby. So you can make a few dollars selling fish. It's just a lot of work. All right, I gotta break in here for just a second. I talked about this shirt last week. This is my If You Don't Like Oscars shirt. The back, I'll leave up to your imagination. If you wanna know what's on the back of this, it's pretty funny. Go to our website, keepfishkeeping.com, check it out. I think you'll get a kick out of what's on the back of this shirt. It's pretty nice, it's pretty fun. We've sold a ton of these shirts. It's actually shocking how many of them have sold. So check it out. We had a lot of fun with this one, and the people who've bought them so far, well, they're having a lot of fun with them too. The next thing to think about as far as making money with this hobby is something that I don't hear a lot of people talking about, but it is a way that you can make some money. It requires work just like everything else, but it's pretty interesting, and it might be something that you've never thought of, and that's the concept of buying small and selling big. What I'm talking about is buying really small fish that are 1.5 inches, but these are fish that as they mature, they can get up to 4 or 5 inches. Like some of these fish, they get bigger than 4 or 5 inches, but you understand what I'm saying. These fish, you can buy these fish for $0.10 a dozen, really small, unsexed. Unsexed meaning they're not colored up. You don't know if they're males or females yet. So you buy them dirt cheap and you raise them for 5-6 months and then you sell them. This is everything I talked about before as far as the work involved in breeding fish. It's the same with this. So I don't need to spend any more time on it. It's the exact same concept, except you don't have the breeder fish. You're just skipping that whole process and you're buying the fry. Where can you get the fry? They're everywhere. I mean, there's a lot of places that sell them, and they might not be selling them as fry, but if you go to websites like Imperial Tropicals, Live Fish Direct, Cichlid Shack, places like that, this doesn't only apply to African cichlids, but they're a really good example for something like this. You go to any of those websites, you're gonna find the fish available for an inch and a half unsexed, and they're dirt cheap. You buy them at that price, you raise them up until they're mature, maybe not full grown, but adult size, and you'd be surprised how much money you can make. Think about this. You can go and buy 24 unsexed German red peacocks for about $8 a piece. That's $192 for those 24 fish. You raise them up for about 6 months or so, let them get to be a good size where they're, 3 or 3.5, 4 inches or so, and you'll most likely end up with about a 50-50 male to female ratio. Well, those 4.5 inch, whatever size German red male peacocks, you can sell for about $50 a piece. And then the adult females, you can sell them for about $10 a piece. So if we put all of this math together, you're talking about $720 that you're making from those fish that you paid $192 for. That's a profit of like $528. I think my math is correct. Last time I did math, it was a huge fail. But anyway, I think it's about $528 profit that you would make. Of course, that's not accounting any of the business expenses and food and things like that. We're just talking about the cost of the fish versus what you sold the fish for. Now, these aren't world-changing numbers, but if you think about it, if you're doing this in 5 or 6 tanks or even a dozen tanks, you could be making several $1,000s every 6 months or so doing something that you're already doing. Now, I don't know about you, but if I did this in 5 or 6 tanks and was doing this, selling them off every 6 months or so, that would end up making me about $2,500 to $3,000 every 6 months. Now, I don't know what your bills look like, but for me, that could pay my power bill, my water bill, and my internet bill. It's all paid for me just from doing this. So, again, it's not world-changing numbers, but it's not bad. And it's something that you're doing anyway. You're already keeping fish, so you're just engaging in your hobby and you're paying your bills. Now, as far as the downside of doing this, it's pretty much all the exact same things we talked about with the breeding fish. You got the cost to set everything up, you have the cost to buy the fish, you have the cost to feed the fish, the maintenance, the cost to sell the fish, all of that. But again, it's a way to put a few dollars in your pocket. That's what this is all about. How many of you watching this video have planted aquariums? I bet a lot of you are saying, me. I think we've got like 12 in this house. But if you've kept live plants, you know that if you do what you're supposed to do, if you do your job properly, your plants are going to constantly be reproducing just like guppies would. So you're doing your job right, your plants are reproducing. Why not take those baby plants and move them over into something, grow them out, keep reproducing them, and have that be the thing that you're making your extra money from. Might not be as much money as some of the other things that we've talked about, but again, it could be a way to make a couple extra dollars in your pocket just by, again, doing something that you're already doing. You're growing these plants, you're doing your work, they're naturally reproducing, and you're just cutting them up and selling them. Now, some of the pros to doing this is they're easier than fish because you don't have to feed them every single day. Yeah, you got to spray your Easy Green or squirt your Easy Green in there to fertilize the plants, but you're not having to feed them all the time like you do fish. They're not killing each other and beating each other up all of the time. You don't have to worry about all of those things. You're just basically keeping a glass box full of water, keeping the water healthy, and your plants are going to do the rest. So it's definitely easier, in my opinion, than with fish. Plus, it's a whole lot easier to offer these plants to anyone. Now, I'm not trying to get you to become competition for Aquarium Co-op. You know better than that, but you can ship these all over the place a lot easier than you could fish. So if you're breeding fish, you're most likely only going to be selling your fish to people local to you or to fish stores, something like that. Whereas with plants, you can do that, but you can also put them on websites or advertise them nationally and ship them all over the place. It's a whole lot easier and a whole lot cheaper than shipping fish. The downsides to this, again, it's everything we've already talked about. All of these, except for the next one, they all have the same downsides. Well, again, I guess except for the first one, maintaining tanks, but that's kind of the same work. You understand what I'm saying. The downside to it is it's a lot of work to maintain aquariums. And if you're doing something like this, you're going to have multiple aquariums. You're trying to produce either baby fish or baby plants, so you have to keep them pristine. You have to keep things in good condition. So it's a lot of work. It's a lot of cost to get it set up. But again, once you get it rolling, these plants are reproducing on their own. And it's just cha-ching, cha-ching, cha-ching every time you see another one sprout up. But again, a lot of work, but worth it in the end. You're not going to get rich from it, but you can do it. All right, so let's talk about the last way you can make a few extra dollars with your hobby that you love so much. And that is, let's talk about what you're doing right now and what I'm going to be doing with this video. We're talking about YouTube here and starting up a YouTube channel. Now, when I started my YouTube channel back in 2011, I had no desire to be doing what I'm doing right now. The sole purpose for starting my channel was to promote my website, KGTropicals.com, which is actually now keepfishkeeping.com. I had no desire to make money from this. I had no desire to do live streams. I didn't care about super chats or ad revenue or channel members or anything. I didn't even know anything about that. I didn't care about it. All I wanted to do was promote my fish. But guess what happened? There was money that started coming in. And I was like, oh. Now, it took quite some time for that to happen, for YouTube to actually start to generate any money at all. I mean, even just a few dollars a month, it took some time to make that happen. But it did happen, and I looked at it as, wow, I'm the luckiest guy in the world because I'm advertising my fish on this global platform, sending it out to the world, and they're actually paying me to advertise my fish, which is generating sales, and it's the perfect world. Like I said, I'm a lucky guy. Well, I was, because I'm not selling fish anymore, but you understand what I'm saying. Now, it has to be said that anyone that's on YouTube that's making real money, like big money, they're doing that because they're standing out in some kind of a way. They have figured out how to play this YouTube game, and I don't mean that in a derogatory way. I mean, they've learned how to run a channel. They've learned the right kind of content to create. They've learned the right way to do this to generate an income. That's not a bad thing. These are the people I'm talking about that have hit the big time. That's not what we're talking about in this video. I'm not going to try in 3 minutes to explain to you how to strike it rich on YouTube. I haven't done that yet, so I'm not going to try to tell you how to do that. But again, this whole video is about making a little extra money with your hobby that you're already doing. What better way to do that than to start creating content, uploading it to YouTube, sharing it with the community? Your motivations might be different than mine were back in the day. You might want to just be involved in this community and share your hobby, help other people with the fish keeping hobby, and then eventually, and I mean eventually, start making a couple extra dollars off of it. That's cool. What better world is there than to do what you love, to share your passion, and get paid for it? I mean, I'm the luckiest guy in the world. And I really do feel that way. I mean, it's incredible what this whole thing has done. I feel incredibly blessed to be able to do what I do. And it took a lot of work, it took a long time, and it took a lot of studying. It took a lot of working with people that know what they're doing. And people like Corey from Aquarium Co-op, I have to shout him out because that guy is a genius when it comes to YouTube. He's a guy that knows how to play the game, and because of that, I now know how to play the game too. Again, don't be offended by play the game. All I'm saying is learn how to do it. That's just my way of saying that. Learn how to have the right strategies and stuff like that to actually have it generate a significant income. But to make a few extra dollars, there really aren't all of these rules. You can start a channel, and again, I'm not telling you you can start a channel and then 2 weeks later you're going to start making $1,000 a month. I'm not telling you that. What I'm telling you throughout this whole video is making a few extra dollars, and you can certainly do that by starting a channel, contributing to the community, providing value to the fish keeping community. If you do that, people will watch your videos. They'll watch your live streams if you do them. They'll super chat you to thank you for the value that you're bringing to them. And before you know it, you are generating an extra side little income. You've got your little side hustle that you're doing that's helping you to buy fish food and buy new aquariums and replace that light that broke and stuff like that. You understand what I mean? I'm in no way, though, trying to say that you can strike it rich, although some people have. It's not impossible. Hasn't happened for me yet, but it could happen. So there you go. This was fun. I enjoyed myself, and I want to know how you enjoyed this video, because this is completely different than the Sunday videos that I've been doing lately. The last couple that I've done have been a little similar to this. It's kind of going away from what I've been doing in the past with the green screen and with the very strict script and all of that kind of stuff. I've been doing it a little bit more free flow, just turning on the camera and talking. And I gotta tell you, I've had a lot of fun doing it this way the last couple of weeks. Let me know what you think. If this is something that works and I could just change up the background every week, then I'd like to keep doing it this way because I enjoy it. I know I run my mouth a little bit too much, but I enjoy doing it this way. I think it's a lot of fun. If you like it too, definitely let me know down in the comment section below. If you haven't subscribed yet, if you like this kind of free-flowing, easy to digest content, then you might want to subscribe, do the bell thing and all of that kind of stuff, and check out our new website, keepfishkeeping.com. You can get this shirt. This shirt, it says "Go F Yourself" on the back, but it doesn't say the real word. I'm spoiling it here for you to reward all of you that have stayed. You want to see it? I'll show it to you. I don't know if it's going to show up good on camera. That's the back. I don't know if you could hear me because I was turned away from the microphone, but for those that stayed to the end of the video, I'll reward you a little bit. Hopefully you could see it. I don't know. If it didn't work, I'll just put an image of it over my back there. But yeah, check these out. A lot of fun. A lot of people are buying them. We've got more coming in next week, so if we run out, don't worry, they're coming. Anyway, I don't want this video to be a half an hour long. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next week. Maybe I'll do it again like this.